Continuing the ongoing battle in Part 2, Kang Jin-hyuk immediately activated the Fire Origin technique. A powerful blaze erupted, engulfing both rounds of bloodthirsty mercenaries, reducing them to ashes. Kang Jin-hyuk turned back to Teresa and instructed her to go and rescue the captured group while he handled things here. Teresa advanced towards the Chinese group, gracefully unsheathing her sword to sever the mundane ties. "You came to save us, but what about those faceless creatures?" she asked, glancing at Kang Jin-hyuk, who was surrounded in the distance. Confidently, Teresa replied, "Leave it to me. I will take care of him." Violat was perplexed, unable to comprehend how Kang Jin-hyuk could withstand his dark magic. "Our dark magic and your fire are complete opposites, and furthermore, you have misunderstood something," Kang Jin-hyuk explained. "Because of the minute strand of your master's soul sealed within this ring, you were already defeated. On one hand, there's the sword of earthly realms, and on the other, the singing battle spirit." Violat, being utterly ignorant, failed to defeat Kang Jin-hyuk with his dark magic, so he decided to face him with his sword instead. Chao, joined by his comrades, rushed forward. Violat smirked, intending to destroy Kang Jin-hyuk's ring and release his master. The Chinese group stood in awe, feeling a chill run down their spines. Without batting an eye, Kang Jin-hyuk questioned Teresa about the person with the stern face. "The entire faceless group has been slaughtered, including Violat, the most notorious one," Teresa responded. Then she thought about Kang Jin-hyuk, who always wore a mask, speculating that he wanted to conceal his true identity. Suspecting this, she used it as an excuse for the two of them to meet on this journey. Kang Jin-hyuk, having dealt with the clan of ghosts, returned to regroup with Teresa. Teresa expressed her pain at Kang Jin-hyuk's death, as it was the first time she had witnessed his demise, especially since he was an ally. "Well, but didn't we succeed?" Teresa paused for a while, wiping away tears of joy from her emerald eyes. Kang Jin-hyuk, completely bewildered by the situation, felt a sense of unease. It was the first time he had encountered such a scene in his 27 restless years on Earth. Teresa's heart overflowed with happiness as she sincerely thanked Kang Jin-hyuk for reviving everyone. The long, arduous journey of the beautiful ones had come to a successful end. The communication system informed Kang Jin-hyuk that he could now copy the unique and chilling skill of the stars using his sacred power. This skill belonged to the rare SS grade team and could still be used to reject Zim Lavuang's love for 244 hours, or approximately 10 days. Teresa gently raised her hand, brushing away the tears of joy from her rosy cheeks. She playfully punched Kang Jin-hyuk in the chest, saying, "Hey, you know I can resurrect, right? Don't pretend like you don't know." Kang Jin-hyuk, reluctantly accepting his ability to see through others, turned away, pretending he didn't know. Hearing Teresa's half-serious, half-angry tone, he felt like, in the palm of his hand, an additional seal appeared. Kang Zin secretly laughed inside, knowing that the seal was the curse. Malin's leader was a composite material of absorption, but it had a very complicated curse. It was a sacred object that could only be safely obtained if Alice was present. Alice, also known as Xenoe, had two names. China's chief officer urged them not to hate the bald heads and backpacks anymore, then left. Teresa stood still, unable to believe what she had just seen. China shouted like an angry pheasant, wondering what the commotion was about. Kang Zin wished not to pay attention, quickly pulled Teresa and left. At the same time, at the entrance of the training tower in Exun. At this moment, the crowd was continuously dispersing. This girl was Dong Jae-yun, a member of the Emotional Association. Because she had been waiting for the destination. Her eyes were tired as if she had stayed up all night. She kept flirting with the supervisor Meng Long. As I said, just wait here and watch the disaster unfold. This is the supervisor Meng Long I mentioned earlier, springing up. Dai Kai could guess that they were waiting for the Blah Haidiza Guild, but according to experts, it would take at least 3 weeks to conquer the Hongmong. Knowing that someone had entered, Dai Kai had a premonition that there would be an incident this time. Just when Dai Kai was about to say something, the system announced a new message. The corridor of the screening hall had been conquered. Like a skilled chess player, they hadn't even finished their strategy when they lost. The group inside the tower just came out and the reporters immediately surrounded them. Oh, that's the Blah Haida Guild. Congratulations on successfully conquering what seemed impossible. Can I ask how you conquered it? Who is the MVP of this conquest? Everyone remained silent for a while when they saw Trung Hoa's head. All the hair on his body had retreated even more than the question itself. The reporter was startled, thinking that Trung Hua must have fought hard and was extremely excited. Oh my goodness, what happened inside? At this moment, Teresa came out of the main hall with information. She denied that Trung Hua was the one who conquered it. The reporters heard this and confirmed that the Hidden Guild had conquered it, but once again, Teresa denied it. Waiting for Kang Jin-hai to step out, Teresa boldly declared that she alone had conquered this. Both guilds were just spectators. Using the signal cord, the expression on their faces immediately changed. They turned to the supervisor Meng Long. And neither of them said anything and agreed to inform the guild immediately. Amidst the cheers and excitement of the crowd, Pak Ha-jin could only keep silent and leave. The next day, at the familiar central residence, there were reports all over the newspapers trying to find out who was behind the masked person. The news was filled with speculations about the masked person. Kang Jin-hai muttered to himself, adding fuel to the fire. He kept it a secret that things would escalate after this incident. But he didn't expect it to go this far. Luckily, he wore the mask. The only person who knew about this was Teresa, but she had promised not to talk about it. So the matter was considered resolved. And Kang Jin-hai took out the ring and went to find Alice in the hidden room. Before Kang Jin-hai could say anything, she said, haven't you gone to bed yet? She asked him if he knew who she was, but when she saw Kang. But trying to free Alice from her worries, Kang Jin-hyo urged her to stop crying. Confidently, Kang Jin-hyo asserted that he knew what Alice wanted for her freedom. And as he had promised, he would help her once again. Alice's tears stopped flowing at that moment. She raised her confused gaze and asked Kang Jin-hyo, her intention being, Alice's Taraxia ring. If you help me, I will help you defeat those who betrayed you and restore your position as the head of the Taraxia that you deserve. Shortly after, a video from Dungeon 1 was uploaded. The battle that everyone thought would end in defeat. But the situation turned around with the appearance of the masked individual. The media commented positively as it became a gathering place for fans. Even the Emotion Association and the Donnie Party couldn't resist giving a like and subscribing to the channel. That's what true fame and power is all about. According to Google Maps, shortly after the battle, Kang Jin-hyo arrived at the Riven Guild. He was familiar with this group, but he didn't expect them to be so excessive. Power struggles or greed within the major guilds were not his concern. But this guild had made a mistake by involving the wrong person. As soon as he stepped through the door, the scene in front of him was filled with black-clad guards. Without hesitation, Kang Jin-hyo raised his hand and used elemental fire magic. He was determined to kill them all, to eliminate every single one of them. At the same time, at the highest level of the guild building, guild chairman Man Long was relentlessly interrogating Shin Chun-Su. I told you before, what you did in that place was inappropriate. You dare to show your face after causing such chaos. Everything they did only awakened the sleeping enemies and brought a lot of trouble. The one shouting was Shin Chun-Su, the leader of the Riven Guild. Man Long couldn't contain his anger and kicked Alo Pact Ha Jin with a fierce blow. But just then, from behind the door, a sound of illusion came through. A thin flame swept through the door, engulfing the guards and pushing them back inside. Emerging from the dust, Kong Jin Hyo walked forward with a confident stride. So, you're the guild leader here. What a surprise, someone dared to challenge me. Pact Ha Jin was even more furious, wanting to take revenge for his fallen comrades. He drew a hidden dagger from his side, but Kong Jin Hyo swiftly disarmed him. Hello, my fake friend under the cold sky, how have you been? A swift kick sent Pact Ha Jin flying, shattering his protective gear. The guild leader's power exceeded what was expected, and he declared that he wouldn't let the guild rest in peace. Your fancy sofa there is nice, but it's not what I'm here for. At that moment, as Kong Jin Hyo revealed his ancient papers, Man Long reached for the sword placed beside him. In an instant, he swung the sword towards Kong Jin Hyo. But something unexpected happened. The sword shattered into numerous pieces, revealing a mere ordinary blade. You have the perfect weapon for me to throw, don't you? Let's continue our conversation, Shin Zhang-su. Man Long became even more agitated. He believed that Kong Jin Hyo came here just because he was assigned to assassinate him and cause chaos within the guild, which was unacceptable. Kong Jin Hyo remained calm and extended his hand to catch another thrown blade aimed at him. Shin Zhang-su continued to provoke him, saying that if he killed him, they would retaliate and hunt him down. Do you understand what that means? Blood will continue to flow, revenge will follow, and love on one side will refuse to accept hate on the other. With a handful of blades in his hand, Kong Jin Hyo agreed with Shin Zhang-su's thoughts. But, you will be the treasurer, and the children of this association will play the role of storytellers. At this moment, Shin Zhang-su was extremely frightened and completely shocked. His eyes widened, and then he fell down like that. Regardless of how the fake old man Shin Zhang-su shouted, Kong Jin Wei immediately ordered his soldiers to capture him. The glass was shattered, and Shin Zhang-su was thrown out from the top floor of the association building. After confirming that he had been deceived, Kong Jin Wei turned around and went inside. Pact Ha Jin, the reason I let you live is because of your sisters. The little girl has helped me a lot. Then Kong Jin Wei also released Pact Ha Jin and left. Turning his face, Kong Jin Wei saw the fake dead man standing up behind him. Kong Jin Wei demanded that he introduce himself and give a reason to spare him. The fake man introduced himself as Kim Hyong, 26 years old, responsible for managing the Chinese Association's work and also skilled in divination. After hearing Kong Jin Hui's agreement to spare him, Kim Hyong still disagreed. If he became the leader, who would follow him? After a moment of consideration, Kong Jin Wei realized that he was right. There would definitely be opposition if an inexperienced person became the leader. Turning around, Kong Jin Wei told him not to worry. He would let the lower ranks handle everything. With that, Kong Jin Wei turned his attention to the association ring. At this time, simultaneously in the towers, the A-rank players of the association received urgent messages. Damn it, we're busy dealing with this situation. And many people are being called back for punishment. But we'll just have to endure it and see what happens later. The group approached the association building and noticed a crowd gathered not far away. What are these people gathering here for? If they can't help, they should just get lost. But the leader is lying dead right here. The scene inside the association building made everyone even more anxious. Hurry to the highest floor, the leader wanted to know who sent the distress signal. As soon as he saw Kim Hye-on, the leader became furious and slammed his sword on the table. Grabbing Hye-on by the collar, the leader angrily demanded that he tell him everything. Hye-on, trembling with fear, recounted everything in one breath. Alice was a little annoyed behind, thinking it was a waste of time. She had told someone else to do it for her. Alice's anger grew as the leader called her a brat. Her eyes became teary, and Alice angrily asked the leader who he was calling a brat. A short man stepped forward and pointed to the highest room in the association building. A loud explosion echoed, as if an entire room had been destroyed. Because of the loud noise, it caught the attention of the people around. When they realized that the explosion had occurred in the association building, the leaders of the factions sighed in exhaustion. Alice scolded herself for managing the association. She couldn't believe she did this. Just when they were in confusion, a second inspection notice arrived from the Human Emotion Association. The leaders of the factions quickly went to the headquarters of the Human Emotion Association. It had been 2 months since the towers rose and people were slowly adapting to the new life. Only Ha, Uncle Chu, Hong Vak, and Alice knew the true identity of the masked person. But both agreed to keep it a secret, continuously switching between the identities of the masked person and the association manager. It made it easier for him to act. After a while, Kandin Hyok finally. But in reality, the true keyholder is you, Trang. Using your hands, you carefully insert the key into the intricate lock and successfully unlock the puzzle within the statue. After some effort, the entrance to the underground is opened, and the notification system informs the players that they have entered the first level of the training tower. Alice is also surprised by this scene. She never expected there to be such a place within the tower. Tears well up in her eyes as she gently touches the entrance. And Alice's mind recalls the long-forgotten feeling of freedom. Trang looks at her in surprise. What? You're not happy that I accepted your request? Alice, with a mix of emotions in her eyes, says, well, I guess I can trust you for now. The cold blessings of the stars turn into holy energy. And then they are used to purify the frozen tears. Finally, the frozen tears are absorbed to increase their ice power. The reason it has to be so complicated is because Trang needs to absorb the frozen tears to restrain Alice's power. Because they don't know if the creatures inside the tower can read their intentions, whether they understand that they are just data for the game or not. Looking at Alice's puzzled expression, Trang gestures to ask her a few questions. But as soon as Trang starts speaking, Alice disappears, leaving behind a blurry image of Trang directly in front of her. Seeing Alice's reaction, Trang understands that any information related to the tower is being blocked. After some time, both of them have made their way deep into the cave. Alice seems to sense that something is not right, that something is approaching. From the darkness, the sounds of scuttling insects can be heard. Using her staff to probe the surroundings, they discover a group of armored beetles searching cautiously. These bulky armored beetles are called scarabs, level 25. Although Alice is used to being in dungeons, she still can't help but feel a sense of dread when she sees the beetles in the water. Alice is called back, and Trang activates his unique skill, the Cold Blessings of the Stars. Although this attack can eliminate some of the monsters nearby, those that are far away are unaffected and even receive a 30% increase in physical damage. Despite Alice's frustration, Trang turns to her and uses his ring to cast a spell. But seeing that Alice is uncooperative, Trang strangely takes out a ring and spins it around. Well, it's in her own hands now, there's nothing she can do. And Alice reluctantly steps forward, using all her skills. Oh, the aura radiating from Alice engulfs the entire area. And then Alice uses her aura to suppress the beetles. Trang activates his ranged stat to compensate for the level difference. With just a few strikes, Trang easily raises his level to match theirs. He has been holding back at level 1 for too long, and now that everything is ready, Trang unleashes his true potential. Combining various skills, Trang's power surges in an uncontrollable manner, all focused here. At the same time, inside the Olympus Guild's conference room, it seems that everyone has gathered, so let's get down to business. The person speaking is Patrick, representing the Titan Guild. As everyone already knows, the 8-hour raid on level 4 was a failure. With a solemn tone, Patrick announces that there were 89 casualties, 1 person is missing, and only 9 have returned. The boss on the 3rd level was unbeatable, and here, there is an even more formidable boss lurking below. At this moment, Kang Xinhai wished he had put on the legendary armor in front of everyone. The representatives of the 4 major factions, upon realizing his anonymity, were all shocked. A legend about a nameless hero, known as the Nameless, had sparked the interest of all factions worldwide. And they all wanted this person to join their ranks. And now, this person was appearing right before their eyes. Everyone assumed that Kang Xinhai, with his ordinary appearance, was an average person. However, those assumptions were put aside because Kang Xinhai had already defeated the formidable opponent, the Old Devil. Kang Xinhai affirmed that the staff the Old Devil held was an authentic artifact from China, created from sacred needles and immersed in sacred oil for a long time. The staff was limited in quantity and even had a sweet fragrance. It was impossible to create such a powerful staff with just the initial 3 layers. Kang Xinhai also revealed that the soldiers outside were of extremely low quality and couldn't even capture half of the journey. He intended to get rid of them after looting some gold coins or rare items, while the others were still clueless. The Old Devil revealed the true staff. Before leaving, the Old Devil issued a challenge to Kang Xinhai, implying that in their next encounter, he would show Kang Xinhai his true abilities. After the Old Devil left, the undead creatures returned to their dust. The major factions were left with the headache of dealing with the 3rd-floor boss. Kang Xinhai seemed to understand this situation. He promised himself that he would ensure that they didn't need to form an alliance with the insignificant demons, and he wouldn't take any benefits from the tower's treasure either. After receiving affirmation from Kang Xinhai, all 4 factions believed in his noble intentions, even though each had their own calculations. But they all agreed that this was a heaven-sent opportunity. They began competing to recruit Kang Xinhai, offering rewards and extravagant salaries. With everything he possessed, Kang Xinhai declined their offers, stating that he didn't need anything except for the 4 factions to clear the boss area, where no one else could enter. He would face the 3rd-floor boss alone. No, wait, he changed his mind again because he saw that it only made them more suspicious. His reason was that he wanted to protect his teammates, whom he considered the most precious. On the other side, Kang Xinhai whispered to himself, making sure not to reveal his true intentions. He felt a bit guilty for his selfish motives. Teresa, who was still on the line, called him a hopeless person, muttering about being the most precious teammate. Lao Jiabok, without any doubt, praised this extraordinary camaraderie. It seemed like the perfect plot for a couple fighting side by side in a legendary story. Trang Chai added that it was the destiny of the faction, and there was nothing more to say. Kang Xinhai silently replayed this conversation in his mind. At present, he didn't want to confront the major factions. And he recorded the noble statements and video clips of their conversation. As the conversation ended, Kang Xinhai returned to his leveling quest. In just half a day, he easily reached level 12. And at that moment, Bong's voice, imitating Alice's accent, came in, saying, "Hey, Kang Xinhai. Let me handle everything after the supervisor." Huh. Look at you. Still alive and kicking, it seems your head hasn't been chopped off yet. Kang Xin said as he looked at Alice with a hint of sarcasm. Alice sat there, feeling helpless and weeping over her enslaved fate. What kind of person exploits a slave like this? Aren't you afraid of making me sad? Alice retorted, her voice filled with sorrow. Kang Xin pointed at the system interface in front of him, indicating his intention to buy some items to boost Alice's strength. Alice frowned, not understanding how those ordinary items could restore her strength. If I'm in such a dire situation and lacking strength, I won't be able to support Kang Xin's wishes, she thought to herself. Desperate for a way to restore her strength, Alice wanted to rely on Kang Xin's support. Don't worry, it won't be a headache. Kang Xin has a plan, he assured her calmly. Just as Alice turned around and prepared to flee, she accidentally bumped into Kang Xin. This crazy woman, I told her to be patient, Kang Xin muttered. After a while, Alice finally caught her breath. Kang Xin wiped the sweat from his face and muttered to himself. How much blood did she suck from me? She's really demanding. He opened the system interface and first needed to buy some items to prepare for what lay ahead. First, he purchased a large pill, an unidentified cuboid, and some skill-enhancing catalysts. Alice was puzzled by Kang Xin's purchase of seemingly random items and couldn't understand their purpose. He explained that these items would be needed for future use. Moving forward, Kang Xin found himself in front of a grocery store, where he stated that they would face great challenges today. Today, we will conquer this place. Hold on tight, he said confidently. Before Alice could fully comprehend what was happening, Kang Xin suddenly dove headfirst under the grocery store. Alice shouted in surprise and jumped in without even knowing which entrance to take. In contrast to Alice's expression, Kang Xin was confident. As he had descended underground countless times before, Kang Xin signaled for Alice to follow him, even though she didn't fully understand his intentions. Nah, you're so daring. I can't tell if it's because of your bravery or just sheer luck, Alice said, her eyes filled with cold determination, realizing that there were more than just the two of them in this situation. Without wasting any time, Kang Xin lit a torch and started exploring the underground cave. After surveying his surroundings, Kang Xin confirmed that they had arrived at the right place. But to Alice's surprise, all she saw in the room were piles of junk. Confused about why Kang Xin had brought her here, Alice thought that these things wouldn't be enough for her to use. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the opposite side and spoke. So, you're here. With a mischievous smile, Kang Xin said mockingly, I knew you would come. Let's have some fun before I deal with you. I wonder if you'll be more obedient after I beat you. Kang Xin didn't waste time and engaged in a fierce battle with Anu. Anu, laughing out loud, replied, ha ha ha. You think you can defeat me, the mighty Anu? I will show you the power of a divine being. Feeling uneasy about the situation, Alice quickly stood in front of Kang Xin and pleaded. Please, let him go. We can't let someone who cares about me die here. Confidently, Kang Xin stepped forward and faced Alice. Kang Xin Hai Yuc felt bored and unwilling to speak at all. Every time he came here, it was the same. After asking 3 questions, the lightning judgment would be activated. The system revealed the condition for Anu to know what happened after copying, which was to make him lose his ring to destroy the stored consciousness. After speaking a few sentences and meeting the condition, sharp spikes emerged from the ground, and the lightning judgment officially began. Kong Xin Hai Yusi's face was not pleasant. All his stats were reduced by 50%, and all his skills and abilities would be suppressed for 1 minute. It meant choosing the lightning judge, or in simpler terms, Kong Xin Hai Yusi's opponent. He glanced at the half-red, half-black horses nearby. Anu happily introduced Kong Xin Hai Yusi's lightning judge as the giant red horses, who would replace him in the judgment. Anu looked dumbfounded, wondering if Kong Xin Hai Yusi had lost his mind. The giant red horses didn't speak but kicked their front legs towards Kong Xin Hai Yusi. The golden-eyed crowd applauded as Kong Xin Hai Yusi looked at their eyes. The trumpet line intermingled with the string line, which was the music Kong Xin Hai Yusi had discovered after multiple penalties. With the help of the string line, Kong Xin Hai Yusi easily launched a full-scale attack, even surpassing his previous abilities. Anu was amazed by Kong Xin Hai Yusi's unpredictable moves. He had never seen anyone counterattack like that. After a fierce struggle, the minute finally passed, and all the adverse effects subsided. Kong Xin Hai Yusi activated a sword image, and a few basic strikes overwhelmed the giant red horses. But Kong Xin Hai Yusi couldn't enjoy the victory for long. Anu explained that his warriors would continuously regenerate after death, and everything would end only when Kong Xin Hai Yusi's overall stats were completely depleted. However, with decades of experience in slaughtering dungeons, Kong Xin Hai Yusi had developed a method that nobody would expect. First, he tortured the horses endlessly, making them suffer and die repeatedly. Alice stood on the side, feeling sorry for the horses. She knew Kong Xin Hai Yusi was powerful, but she didn't expect him to be so merciless. But she had no choice. If it was Kong Xin Hai Yusi, nothing was impossible. Alice was delighted to realize that she had found the right person, and with his immense power, Kong Xin Hai Yusi could help her seek revenge. The giant red horses collapsed heavily to the ground. Anu wondered what his subordinate was doing and told him to get up and continue. He urged him forward. It was a pity, but it had to be done. A warrior chosen by a deity would have an incredibly high self-esteem. But that also made it easier to defeat, as the warrior's pride would be his downfall. Kong Xin Hai Yusi smirked and slapped him in the face, even though it didn't physically harm him. It damaged his spirit, which was a fatal blow. His pride was trampled, and the horses relentlessly attacked Kong Xin Hai Yusi. Then, he entangled himself in a net and shouted, "Come on, give it your best shot." A clean sound passed through. Anu was shocked to see how his perspective on life was completely shattered. And yet his warrior was self-inflicting. After the horses died, Kong Xin Hai Yusi's level increased even more. And there was a shining light beneath his corpse, spreading divine radiance. Additionally, he obtained the scroll of the Fen Tarat formula. Opening the Taoist letter, Kong Xin expresses his envy that without even trying, he has already learned the ice-binding skill. Anu knows that Kong Xin has gone mad, and he is constantly being envied and provoked by Kong Xin. He acknowledges that Kong Xin's envy is strong, but the magic he uses is nothing more than a toy to illuminate the gods. The good fortune of the targeted bastards naturally leads them to madness and despair. Hoang Fa, a skill that involves the use of powerful drugs. By igniting the mana and causing an explosion, it possesses a special power that significantly enhances vision. Anu feels that the situation is not stable. Anu knows he needs to change his plans. The system notifies Anu that the selected Dharma body has been activated. A strange Dharma body appears immediately afterward, transforming into a powerful being that quickly heads towards Kong Xin Hu. Surprisingly, after Kong Xin Hu launches an attack, a new powerful being emerges from the mouth of the wound. And these selected objects are all immortal and will continuously regenerate. Taking out the longevity pill, Kong Xin Hu quickly throws it into the mouth of a powerful being. Then, he uses the purchased items to create an uncertain phase space. Within the phase space, the powerful beings await the activation of the pill's effects. These immortal beings will become unlimited sources of experience. One can say that they are the most effective pawns. Anu's heart becomes chaotic, wondering what is happening. Even he has prepared enough items to deal with such a difficult situation. He foresaw the situation regarding the powerful beings and made adequate preparations. How frustrating it is. He calculated all of this from the beginning to provoke Anu. Anu is infuriated to the point of exploding, but he cannot maintain this state forever. With one hand, he squeezes the life out of the beings he created. The signal of the time limit for the tension signal has arrived, but it's already over. What is this? I haven't even enjoyed it yet. Watermarks gradually appear on Anu's face. Anu knows that before fully returning to level 42, he must leave something for tension signal. He hopes that tension signal will survive until they meet again on level 42. At that time, he will not be an opponent like today. The words just spoken are like a broken container on the outside. The conditions are met, and the new skill has been successfully copied. Anu's Phantasmagoric Thunder can be used after the opponent has answered 3 questions. Reducing the target's stats by 50%, limiting their skills and abilities for 1 minute. And the skill can only be used once per person. If violated, they will have to face the wrath of the Egyptian gods. Especially now, there is a god somewhere who intends to be hostile towards tension signal. Tension signal instantly transmits the information and even provokes the gods here. He wonders if they are just stomach-tied. Alice is frustrated when she sees that Anu has returned from the western polar region tired. Wondering what strange thing has happened, tension signal suddenly has a moment of pride and thinks, what about it? I won. Currently, the unique skills that tension signal possesses have not been used yet, such as a sword, freezing fortune, phantasmagoric thunder, and so on. While tension signal is feeling self-satisfied, someone calls him on video. Alice is still sitting comfortably, but because tension signal pushed her away, she is very angry. I just sat down. Oh, it's Trun Yu Zeng. However, whenever Trun Yu Zeng hears tension signal's voice, he remembers his name a lot. But when he sees that tension signal is in a place with a certain girl, whom he doesn't know, he gets excited. Tension signal doesn't care about that matter and puts it aside. He asks Trun Yu Zeng why he contacted him. Trun Yu Zeng has a favor to ask tension signal. In one day, the Thuk Tin Association will hold a long battle. All players from rank A and above are expected to participate. The tense atmosphere inside is filled with doubts, as they are still organizing a long tournament while the level 3 boss is looming. Trun Yu requested another meeting with Kang Din Hu on this matter. Knowing that Kang Din Hu would not agree, he prepared something that would make it impossible for him to refuse, a black market pass. It can be said that the black market is the secret gathering place for members who have received invitations with cash. Shortly after, Kang Din Hu arrived at the tournament. He had hoped to make some profit in the initial stages to prepare for the level 3 boss battle. The news of the video that Kang Din-hyo uploaded yesterday quickly spread across social networks. The video featured the appearance of the masked guy, also known as Anon, Teresa, and several other members of the major guilds. The footage only showed the later part, so important figures did not appear. Ignoring the comments of the players, the keyboard warriors kept praising Anon and his coolness, not only for his appearance but also for his skill. If someone else said this, they would have been heavily criticized. But Anon could get away with it. These reactions were all part of Kang Din-hyo's plan. Standing in front of the major guilds and boldly declaring that he would single-handedly defeat the level 3 boss, he attracted attention. Currently, the number of viewers had reached 50 million. But since the publisher was capitalist, they would only receive 10% of the profits. With 50,000 gold coins left, contrary to the hype surrounding the event, Kang Din-hyo was already tired of watching these matches. To him, this whole thing seemed like children fighting in front of adults. Just a chaotic gathering. The participants in the tournament were 20 players ranked from A and above. They had suffered consecutive defeats in previous attempts to defeat the level 3 boss. Due to the guild's reduced efficiency, therefore, the guild decided to livestream the battles without any modifications, so that the public could witness their strength and worthiness. In summary, it was like a grand event that attracted attention but had no real significance. Going back a little, not long ago, Trung Iu-sung had proposed a challenge to Kang Jin-hyuk, and the trial would be the first part. Kang Jin-hyuk didn't think much and immediately refused. He was not recognized as a player who had reached the black gate of rank A and couldn't participate. It was a pity, as he was hoping to be saved by someone. Before Kang Jin-hyuk could finish his sentence, Trung Iu-sung quickly interrupted, stating that the winner would have two options. Either take a designated artifact from the National Museum or continue to compete against a player who didn't participate in the tournament and, of course, choose the opponent. At this point, Trung Iu-sung blushed and suddenly exclaimed, this time, in front of the crowd, "O-U-Z, bam, vam, may, ah." That's why Kang Jin-hyuk had arrived here today. Just as the two were facing each other on the battlefield, they were unexpectedly attacked from behind by a bodyguard with a mad look. Unable to react in time, both of them were struck and fell to the ground, screaming and covered in dirt. The attacker was Kang Jin-hyuk's team member, Lee Iu-shi and Master Ong Noi. Some members of the guild had their eyes on Lee Iu's group, but when they approached to ask the representative, they were promptly rejected. This person was. The eyes, clothes, and hair had evaporated partially. Lee Iu appeared in Met and took out a phone. This must be the right one, and the wind is forcing it to be so. At this moment, there was a sound from the audience that the failure was over. The bloodthirsty leader's impulsiveness outweighed his intelligence. Kang Jin-hyuk didn't say anything and just narrowed his eyes. So, this opponent is level 21, an ambitious tactician, with unique skills, a violent bachelor, and a skilled practitioner. This is because it is. The condition after copying is to find the opponent's ID. Kang Jin-hyuk didn't care about that, as he knew that the system, the wind disguise, had already surpassed the normal program and could detect the intentions of others. Don't look at me like that. I didn't come here to play around. That hand, your name is the pain of the most powerful violent bachelor. With a face full of longing for your team's representative, the Black Cloud Society. Facing the reporters, they wanted to show them how their super soldiers could control people like horses and draw everyone's attention towards them. Kang Jin-hyuk's judgment was completely accurate. The condition after copying the skill was fulfilled, and Kong Jin Hai UC successfully exhibited the power of the light combatant. The user of the skill will have the strength of the practitioner. The power of the hand will skyrocket, and the user will be able to comfortably use items that are 10 times larger. So, Kong Jin Hai UC's chicken mission had begun, and today he was determined to extract a few more skills. First, he used a new Beat skill of lightning judgment. To avoid suspicion, both of Kong Jin Hai UC's initial questions seemed very enthusiastic about the matter, but when it came to the final question, it was different. Kong Jin Hai UC, with a sharp gaze, said, "With just that strength, do you think you can defeat me?" The bloodthirsty leader smiled satisfactorily, activated the light combatant, and affirmed that it was natural. At first, the bloodthirsty leader still let out a wild scream, but only a moment later, his body couldn't move at all. Now Kong Jin Hai UC exerted more force with his hand. He looks strong, but with that physique, he doesn't seem to be in too much pain. Saying that, Kong Jin Hai UC applied even more force. The volley strike was overwhelmed, and the bloodthirsty leader writhed in pain as if he had been poked in a sensitive spot. After punching a few times, Kong Jin Hai UC seemed unaffected. Kong Jin Hai UC, still holding on to Vo Li, immediately delivered a punch right into his stomach, causing him to vomit, and then he was thrown backward. The crowd of reporters exclaimed, and Kong Jin Hai UC once again humiliated himself in the chaos. Suddenly, someone attacked from the side. Kong Jin Hai UC quickly turned around and jumped back. Right where he had just been, a hidden trap appeared on the ground.